guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my top 12 reads of 2022. So I went back and forth on if I wanted to film this video for YouTube because I did make a couple posts on my Instagram about my top 12 reads, and I just felt like it might have gotten a little bit repetitive, as well as I did film my all 5-star reads that I read in 2022 video, and that was quite a bit of books, and I was like, maybe there's not more that I could say about these books. But then I was thinking, I was like, well, not all of my YouTube fam follows me on Instagram, so you guys might not know what my top 12 reads of 2022 are, especially because I did all of my 5-star reads. But out of all of my 5-star reads, which ones were the top 12? You know what I mean? So I figured I would film it either way. If you guys enjoy this video, don't forget to like the video. But yeah, I went back and forth. I was like, I don't know if I want to film it. It might be too repetitive. I feel like I've talked about these books too much for too long. But I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's just jump right into it. Let's not make this video longer than it needs to be. First one on my top 12 is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This really made my December for me. This was one of the holiday novella reads that I read in December of last year, and it really rose up to the top, and I had to pick one for December. It had to be this one. This one is not specific to months. I just kind of took all my 5-star reads and kind of picked and chose which ones I liked, but this one was definitely for December because I did read this recently. As you guys know, this is about Stella and Aiden, and Stella and Aiden have this whirlwind romance. Stella's really just trying to make it after coming out of prison, and Aiden is the general manager of the store Vivant. He instantly has this attraction and chemistry towards Stella when he sees her. They have a really cute meet cute, and he is just so supportive and attentive. Just hot Aiden. I loved it. 5 stars. All of these were 5 stars, but this one is definitely a fave for me, and I can't wait to reread it. Like every fucking book. Next one is Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. We just getting the Tessa Baileys out of the way. As you can see, I tabbed it up. I tabbed the spicy scenes. Ooh, girl, I can't wait to reread this. This is gonna be so good. This one is about Wes and Bethany. Bethany cancels? Yes, Bethany and Wes. Wow, I have not read this in a long time. I think this was my top read of January of last year, so it was a minute. But I loved it all the same. This literally was one of the first Tessa Bailey books that I read, and I fell in love with her writing. This one is about Beth and Wes. Wes is currently a single dad, really a single uncle. I think he is taking care of his niece, and Bethany is trying to make it in the interior design construction world. She is usually the interior designer, but she wanted to build something from the ground up, and not a lot of people were in her corner, but Wes is, and he helps her on the side, and he is just perfect. I just remember Wes being perfect. He is definitely top book boyfriend. It was just a fun read. It was smutty when it needed to be. It was swoony when it needed to be. It was just everything that you would want in a book, and I loved it so much. Next up, to nobody's surprise, Heartless is in my top 12. This one is about Cate and Willa. Willa is just a ball of sunshine. She is just so funny, so well written. She is just a boss ass bitch, and she just has this backbone and this aura. She really made the story for me, as well as Cate. Cate is a single dad. There's something about single dads, y'all. I found that out about myself in 2022 that I really like me some single dads. So Cate is looking for a nanny for his son Luke. I'm pretty sure it's Luke. Yes, Luke. He is just not liking anybody who's interviewing because they all just kind of want to get close to him and don't really care about his son. You know, because he's a hot daddy and everybody wants to babysit his kid just to get close to him. Willa, they actually have this really cute meet cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. One of my all-time favorite meet cutes. He is just like instantly attracted to her. He's like, he notices her in this meet cute, right? But he doesn't know who she is until she pulls up and is like, I'm gonna be the nanny. But Cate instantly is like, absolutely not, because he knows he's attracted to her because he didn't meet her the same way that he met all of the other people. But he gives her a chance because she's like, well, are you gonna stop being an asshole, or do you really need a nanny, or what? And it is just so good. Cade is just, he needs to be protected at all costs, okay? When I learned like what happened to him and why he he's so insecure. It was just literally made my heart ache, and like it melted because Willa was that person for him. They're literally soulmates. They're literally soulmates. And I loved Willa and Luke's connection and how they got along. They kind of were like two peas in a pod. Their personalities kind of meshed, and then they had Cate, which was like that fortress for them. It was so good. And the kitchen scene still lives rent free in my head, I can tell you that. It was so good. Next two are from the same series, and I'm not surprised. And did I wait to get these in the mail so I could film with them? Yes, this is probably why this video is so late and going up. But I really wanted to show you guys these because JT Geissinger came out with discreet covers for her Queens and Monster series, and my boyfriend got them for me for Christmas, and I am just so grateful. I love them so much. I love this series so much. Basically, almost all of the books got 5 stars or close to 5 stars, and I just can't wait to reread this. This is so good. But first one, I guess we'll talk about Brutal Vows. Look at this cover. Are we living? Because I'm living. This is about Spider and Raina, and you guys know I was going into this book a little iffy because I didn't know if I liked Spider because of his role in Savage Hearts in a previous book before this one, but I ended up falling in love with him, and you just learn so much about him in here, and you realize why he is the way he is. But I think the thing that takes the cake in this one is Raina, and Raina is a widow. She may or may not have killed her husband. We still don't know, but she is just done with marriage. She doesn't believe in marriage. She's like, absolutely not. I went through the worst years of my life married. Like, she's like, I'm not doing it again. But Spider is said to be in arranged marriage with Raina's niece. And obviously, the minute that Spider sees Raina, he's like instantly infatuated. But he's like, well, I still have to marry the niece. But you know, shit goes down. Plans change, and they are obviously the couple in this book. I loved Raina. She was just a badass bitch, and I loved the way that it turned out at the end, that she was like the boss, like she got it going. Spider was literally just her man. He was like the person on the side. You know when Cher says that we don't need men, but they're nice to have? Kind of like that. And he was just so eager to love and to be with Raina and to be everything for her. And not to say that he's not a dominant, you know, it's not to say that he's not a little dominant, because he is, but he also likes to be praised as well, which is the first book, honestly, that I've ever read where the guy likes to be praised, and I ate it up, okay? And not to say that also Spider does praise Raina, but she like low-key realizes that every time she compliments Spider, he just gets so like, and he eats it up, so she like continuously does it, and it is so good. You guys have to read this series for sure. All the books were really, really amazing, but these are my top two: Brutal Vows, and then moving on to my next one, which was Savage Hearts. Look at these covers. They're just amazing. They're just so good. So happy to have them on my shelves. Anyways, yes, so this is the third book in the Queens and Monster series, and this is another one of my top reads. There was just something about this book. Listen, Malik and what's her name? Riley. Malik and Riley, they are an it couple. They are literally fated together. So Malik, basically, he goes to assassinate, kill Declan or something, because Declan killed Malik's boss or some shit like that. But he sees Riley and he assumes that she's like a sex slave, or she's like there against her will, when really she's there for her sister's wedding. And stuff goes down, and Riley gets hurt, and Malik kidnaps her. So this is a captive, and there is so much caretaking in this because obviously Riley gets hurt. And I think that's just what it is about this book: the caretaking, the slow buildup of romance, the way that they fall in love, the way Malik takes care of her, the things he does to show his love, the things he says. I just ate this book up. And you know, in romance books where the hero takes care of the heroine and he like bathes her, washes her hair, and they get to know each other, but there's this sexual tension. It's in this book, and it is so good. I love scenes like that, and I just loved it in this book. And Malik was your typical alpha asshole. He was dominant, he was possessive, he was protective, and he was also badass. And Riley, she was just so funny. Like, you get to see the comparisons between Riley and her sister Sloane, and it was just funny. It was awesome. And Riley just saw the good in Malik. She wasn't afraid of him, and she wasn't a woman in distress, you know. And I love this book. I love this book so much. Like I said, 2 books of the same series in this video. It says something. Next one, I have Funny Feelings by Tarah Dewitt. This was actually my first Tarah Dewitt read, and I absolutely fell in love with Tarah Dewitt herself and her writing and this book. I honestly gotta say thank you to Caitlin because she's the one who put this on my radar, and I am so happy that I read it, and I absolutely love this book. I have tabs in this book already because I want to read this soon, and these tabs literally match perfectly. Bruh, like I'm so excited. This is about Meyer and Farley. Farley is an up-and-coming comedian and Meyer is her manager, but we do get past and present in here where we get to see how Meyer and Farley met. We get to see how they got into this manager and comedian role, and it is just honestly all the pining. You guys know how I eat the pining up. This was the pining for me. And there's also fake dating because Meyer has to pretend to be in a relationship with Farley so that it causes a little bit of ruckus in the social media world or like in the news. That way she gets more hype for her to go on this all-woman comedian tour that she was invited into. And this is big for Farley because she is usually just doing the small gigs, but she's just become popular, and she got chosen to go on this comedian tour. So that's why there's fake dating. There's so many cute moments. There is the relationship with Meyer's daughter because again, yes, Meyer is a single dad. I love me some single dad. I love me some single dad. The relationship between Farley and his kid is just absolutely beautiful, and just there was this instant connection. It's like it was meant to be them, you know? There's the tattoo, there's that hotel scene, the pining again, the forced proximity, the jealousy, the possessive way that Meyer is, the way that he sees her when she's up on stage, just the way that he literally is obsessed with Farley and the things and the sacrifices that he has made for her. It is just so good. Can I reread this like now? So good. If you haven't picked this up, definitely do. You are missing out. Up next, I have a duet. It is the Enslaved duet by Giana Darling. It first is Enthralled, and then it is Enamored. Listen, I'm gonna hold up the man cover because, you know, he a little hot. But yes, this is a duet. You can't read Enamored until you read Enthralled. Like, it's just the way things are, okay? So basically, Cosima is the daughter of this very bad, very bad man. He has gambling debts. He doesn't really take care of his family. And he basically sells her to Alexander. And before he buys her, they have this, I don't want to say it's a meet cute, but they know each other from a previous encounter. And I love when it's like that. I love when there is an encounter before they are kind of either forced together, they see each other because they, like before they're introduced or before they actually have their official encounter. You guys know what I'm saying. I just love when that happens because it builds a little bit more backstory. It builds a little bit of a deeper connection. But Cosima goes through with this deal because she demands that Alexander be sending a certain amount of money to her family, and for her family not to know where she is. She gives the excuse of that she's modeling and she's sending them back money, and she asks that her father never contact her family ever again if she's gonna be sold and she's gonna settle his gambling debt, you know, basically save his life. So this is the bargain that strikes. But the thing about this is that this is a master slave situation. This is captor captive. He literally buys her, but like it's brutal, y'all. In the beginning, it's brutal. It's dark. It's a dark romance, so check for trigger warnings, but it is so well done, and I love Giana Darling's writing. Like, it's so good. You guys know I'm a fan. Also, you build this relationship up right in the first book because you get to see the damage done to each other, but the way that they heal and build each other up. And I don't care what anybody says, it's not Stockholm syndrome. Because I feel like everybody says that with Captor Captive, but listen, it's fiction. It is so good. Just the things, when I remember this book, just the things that Alexander does, it's more of action based rather than words. And the smut in here is so good. The sacrifices that he makes for her, the way that Cosima changes him, makes him see and know what love is, especially with the way that he grew up. And the way that these books are so intertwined with one of my other favorite mafia series, which is When Villains Rise and When Heroes Fall. That duet, oh girl. It connects. It connects. I read these backwards, but it's fine. You can totally read it whichever order you want to. But the connections there, the whys, the questions answered, the secret society, it is just so good. And Cosima and Alexander will always be a top tier couple for me. I don't know if that one was a little ranty. Sorry if this is a little shaky. Honestly, I should have put my phone on a different tripod, but I didn't. But it's okay. Next time we live and we learn. But like I was saying, they will always be a top tier couple for me. I will always hold them so dear to my heart. I literally can't wait till I reread this book. This duet, it's thick though. Like, it's a long one, but it is what it is. Okay, now we are on our last two, and are we even surprised that there's another Giana Darling book in here? This is Inked in Lies by Giana Darling. I loved this book so much. I loved it so much that I had to get a special edition of it. I don't even have the original edition, which I should, because oh my god, Nova on the cover, so hot. But I saw this cover and I had to get it. I had to get it through Macari because I was not on the Dark and Quirky subscription, and it came with a nameplate that I still haven't put on there because I am gonna go to Book Bonanza and Giana is supposed to be there, so I really want to take this book and actually have her sign it. This is about Lila and Nova. Let me make sure it is Lila. Yes. I'm horrible with character names. This is about Lila and Nova. So Lila has always been in love with Nova, and Nova has always been a player. He has always been a player. That's why his name in the MC is Casanova, but Nova for short. So these two know each other from a very young age because Nova's family moved in across the street from her house, but her dad wasn't the best dad. Eventually, Nova's family took Lila and her brother in. That's how kind of their relationship blossomed. Nothing starts until they're older, obviously, but they just have this beautiful connection, and this has unrequited love because Lila has loved Nova for literally forever, and Nova just refuses to see Lila or even give Lila a chance, even though he himself is like attracted to Lila and he knows that they could possibly have something beautiful, but because of his trauma, you know, it just takes a little bit. It's a very back and forth relationship, but it was also one of the first books that I read that had unrequited love in it, and it just hit me in the heart, and it's just very deep and very emotional, and I love the connection that they have. Every single tattoo that Lila has, Nova has done, and the reasons why she gets a tattoo obviously is because she loves them and she wants them, but she knows that it'll be Nova who does it, and it's just another form of connection for her. And this book is just absolutely beautiful. There is just the pining, the forced proximity, the forbiddenness of it, because Lila at some point is engaged to another guy, but she's also trying to take her own life into her own hands and make something of herself instead of just being the girl that follows Nova around, you know what I mean, or that is obsessed with Nova. She gets into a little bit of trouble, which causes Nova to be protective and possessive, and the smut is so good. When they finally get together, it's just done so well. We learn about Nova's past and his trauma. It just all makes sense, and it's beautiful. It's so good. I loved it so much. Look at this cover, y'all. Imagine every single tattoo on your body is done by the man that you love. Wow. Talk about deep. They are literal soulmates. Last book is The Death by Laura Thalassa. Are we even surprised? Are we even surprised? I don't think so. This is the fourth and final book of the Four Horsemen series by Laura Thalassa. This is about Lazarus and death, and this is true enemies to lovers, okay? They literally kill each other. They literally kill each other, but it is so beautiful. And just like every other book in this series, the heroine is always trying to stop the horsemen from finishing or completing the apocalypse, okay? We struggling out here in the human world. She is literally trying to stop death because he is the final horseman. Every other horseman already has gotten their book and obviously not succeeded with the whole apocalypse thing. I mean, they do damage. They do damage. They kill a lot of people. But death is the final horseman, and he has risen. The way that he sees the world is just so final. Like there's this finality to it. There is no redemption for humankind for him. He is set on a job and his brothers couldn't do it, so he will. And we even get to the point at the end where it's like, even then he is not convinced. You know what I mean? Like, what will it take? And Lazarus has literally lost everyone that she's ever loved, and she literally has nothing left to lose. They both go on this journey together eventually, because it's very back and forth in the beginning. They just fall in love, and you see Death realize and feel love, and it is just so new to all of the horsemen. They don't know what it is, and I love when it's like an innocent love where they've never felt it before, because they're just these magical non-human beings, you know. I love that. And it's just beautiful. The quotes, the writing, just everything about it. I don't know like what else I could possibly say about this series, just because it's also the last book, but the relationship is just beautiful. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I was engaged from the beginning. It was literally heartbreaking, and it was just like keeping you on the tip of your toes. Is that how you say it? It was literally just page after page. I just fell in love with them both. They have these moments where it's just Lazarus trying to teach Death and show him humanity, and that it's not all lost. And it's just beautifully done. It is definitely worth the read, especially the whole series. I loved it so much. And Death has wings. He has wings, and it is so good. It's so good. I can't wait to reread this series again. I literally say that about every single one. But yeah, this is the last book on my top 12 reads. Okay, so a portion of this video is going to be vlog style because I forgot to mention like 3 books in my top 12. 3 books that I didn't own physically out of my top 12, which is tragic. But because I didn't own them physically, I didn't talk about them in my top 12 video previously. I need to talk about them because it's my top 12 and these are on that list. And I don't know why I thought the books that I was talking about was 12, but it wasn't. It was literally 9. So now here we are to talk about the last 3 books in my top 12. And I'm currently in my car, as you guys can see, so it's a little bit more vlog style, but hopefully it doesn't change. Hopefully it's not too jarring. Also, I was editing this video obviously because then I realized that I only talked about 9 books, but I am using a microphone. This is a new microphone that I bought a minute ago, and I have been using it for like vlogs that I'm currently filming and sit down videos that I previously filmed, which this is one of them, and I'm using it again now. Hopefully the audio stays good. I had originally been editing this video and I noticed that there was static throughout the video for like periods of time, and then it would go away and then the audio would be better. And I googled it and I researched, and it said usually maybe the connection, and if it's not the connection, which I triple checked that it was like secure, it might just be my phone or the adapter that I'm using. So I'm gonna have to see what the hell I do with that, but I apologize for the static. And I apologize for my neighbors, because I do remember when I was editing this video, my neighbors were loud as hell, and I was like, damn, this microphone is good as hell because it be catching what the fuck my neighbors be doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're so loud. But anyways, besides the point, let's get into it. The first book that I didn't mention was Blindside by Kandi Steiner. This is about Clay and Giana. Giana is the football team's, this is a college sports romance. Giana is the PR agent, I believe, for this college's football team, and Clay is part of that football team. Clay is recently dumped by his long-term girlfriend that he thought he was going to marry, and Giana has been pining over this dude that she goes to see at this like bar. So then a fake dating scenario comes into play where Giana needs Clay to get his shit together for the actual like PR of him being like on the football team, and he suggests that they fake date so that Giana's crush notices her, and so Clay's ex-girlfriend gets jealous that he's moved on, so she'll come back to him, and then Giana will get with her crush. So that's the premise of the book. But listen, obviously things don't go the way that they need to. This book really came at a perfect time for me. It really showed me how much I love fake dating, and it's just like the pining and the blurred lines of where is this real or are we still faking. And there were so many like staged scenes of them like being couples, and it was so good. Like just thinking about it, oh, I eat that up. It was so good. There was also just so many scenes where Giana is a book lover and she annotates and tabs her spicy romances, and Clay gets a hold of her books and he reads through them and he takes note and he uses those things and does them to Giana. And obviously here Giana is a virgin heroine. It kind of turns from fake dating to like a teach me moment. Clay takes these books and these ideas and he kind of just rolls with it, and it is so good. You have to definitely read this one. It is definitely in my top 12. I had to choose that one because that book had me in a chokehold. Okay, and you see this cover? This is one of the instances where I love the guy on the cover because Clay is he's so hot. Second book that I forgot to mention is a duet. This is the Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. It is Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. You have to read both of them because the first one ends on a cliffhanger and you don't get their AGA until the second one. I was kind of hesitant going into these because they're thick books, okay? But let me tell you, I read the second book in a day. I literally was binging it, and these are both on KU, so you can like definitely read those on there. But make sure you check trigger warnings because this is a dark romance. Like the second book is dark. The first book is more like dark romance, and it has Dubcon and it has the stalker because Zaid stalks Adeline, and it has this like spooky element, and there's like multiple plots in the book, but it doesn't overshadow the romance, and I loved it. I ate this duet up. Like I was interested from the beginning to the end. I was like in it. Like I was in the book, and I love Adeline. I know I feel like a lot of people don't like her, but I loved her. She was no damsel in distress. She literally was a badass. She was a little stupid, but she like acknowledged it, and she has this fear kink, so I feel like sometimes her kink overpowers her like common sense. I think it plays such a big part in how Zaid and her kind of like mesh together. And Zaid is just a fucking psychopath, but he's also like I was gonna say pure in a sense because he's a psychopath, but he's a psychopath for good, if that makes sense. And there's just so many things in this book that are like spooky, out of this world, unhinged, hot, sexy. The steam, the way that Zaid talks, the way that the things that he says and his thoughts about Adeline. And then there's Adeline who is just living through it, bitch. She's living through it. And then the second book, obviously I don't want to give any spoilers, but it continues with the relationship, and that one gets dark. Okay, I think that's like one of the most dark romances that I've read, but it shows a different side of Zaid and Adeline's relationship and how they have to kind of heal and come together, and the way that Zaid takes care of her, is there for her, and the stuff that he goes through within himself and that inner turmoil. It was just done so well. Those were my first books by H.D. Carlton, and I have found that I am an H.D. Carlton fan. I love her writing. I love her characters. I just love how psychotic they are, and they're just binge worthy, and I am here for it. I love it. I love it so much. It literally made it on my top 12. It is a duet, but I'm counting it. Okay, now last book is Give Me More by Sara Cate. This is the third book in the Salacious Players Club. This one is a menage relationship, I think it's called. It is about Hunter, Drake, and Isabel. I'm gonna look it up because I could be wrong. Yeah, Isabel. So basically, Hunter and Isabel are married, and Drake is Hunter's best friend. But throughout their relationship, all three of them, they're like all best friends. Like Drake is best friends with Isabel. Hunter has always been best friends with Drake. They met in an early stage of their life, and then they had this great relationship. So basically, Hunter and Isabel have to go on tour all of these other kink clubs to see what these other clubs are offering, and just kind of learn about all of the other clubs and see what they want to bring into their own club. Drake, he is along for the ride because he is the construction manager person for Salacious. So it just makes sense for him to tag along. Once they are doing this tour, it kind of opens up real hot already. So Drake is known to be a player. He is known to, fuck around, literally. he is hot and everybody knows it. All the women, they just fall on his feet, okay? You can already feel the tension and like this connection that they have with each other. They have this dynamic where they kind of wish that they were all three together, but not. And it's very like, they need to be together because they belong together. Hunter starts thinking like, he starts thinking, he wants to see Drake fuck his wife. And so he makes this known. And I loved the way that this conversation came up, and I loved the communication. The thing about this book, I think that made it for me, was the smut and the communication. The way that they talk about what this three-person relationship will entail and how they're gonna navigate it and how it has to be like all equal. Like the communication, y'all, like in this book was beautifully done. The smut was beautifully done because it was always them three. I never felt like it was disconnected at some point. They were like literally meant to be a three-person relationship. I just think it was done so beautifully. And you know, Sarah Kate, she brings it with the smut, but the smut in this one is not only like hot and sexy, but it's also just like building this connection. There's this like emotional tie to it, and I just ate this book up. I loved Isabel, I loved Hunter, I loved Drake. I loved learning the little snippets like from the past and how Drake and Hunter both saw Isabel and how Hunter changed his whole life to be a provider and the perfect man for Isabel, and then Drake to be along for the ride through the whole thing. I also think that the third act breakup was kind of done well. It's not necessarily, there is a third act breakup, but I think it was done well, and I think that it was very mature for one of the characters to do what he had done, because he can't be in this relationship and hurt somebody and not be truthful to himself and to them as well. And so he felt like he was lacking, so he had to take a step back and make sure when he comes back to this relationship he is whole or close to being that. And it was so good. Oh, I loved it so much. It was absolutely stunning. I loved that book. I need to have that book in my hands. I need to have these three books in my hands, like literally. I don't know why I don't have them, but I definitely recommend. You can read it as a standalone, but I recommend for you to read it from the beginning. Obviously, all these books are so great. The only one that I gave 3 stars was the last one. It was my favorite, but anyways, Give Me More was just chef's kiss. I loved it so much. You guys have to read it, but you know, I probably said that about every single book in this video. So yeah, those were the last 3 books that I forgot to mention and to talk about. So make sure you guys check them out, and let's just get back into regular programming. It just makes me so happy talking about all of these books. Like I said, those are my top 12 reads of 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I might have been a little repetitive, but regardless, if you guys like this video, don't forget to like. Let's comment down below I'm looking at the cover of Death and it's just beautiful, and I'm just thinking like blue heart. Let's comment down below a blue heart if you don't want to comment anything else. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.